Hello everybody and welcome to my new Sunday market breakdown. As usually, we start on the DXY. So last week I was forecasting that we could potentially have here a bearish W. So we have here our first leg, second leg, third leg, and the fourth leg could come back to this first point of structure, that is clear support, which could become resistance. It went a little bit higher because we needed to find more liquidity at this daily highs here. We took this liquidity with a nice touch and we went till the downside. And then it didn't play out anymore because we had this descending trend line that could act here as support and we went to the upside. So now we have a first time break of this previous lower high here. This was your lower high, lower low wick. So we had the first time break of it. The candle closes above this yellow line here. And now we can have a potential pullback trade or a pattern within a pattern trade. So pullback trade is a first time break. And we also need to have a first selling zone after this, which is this one. So we can go back to the downside. And I expect a potential pullback till this first daily previous structure here, which was resistance, which could become support. Potentially we can go to the upside from there, or we can make that pattern within a pattern, shoulder one here, head, then the shoulder two within that a bullish M, which can play out, which is a nice supply and demand zone acting as resistance here, support, resistance with an IC here, and then potentially support to go back to the upside to complete this pattern. If I go to the weekly has also made a pattern within a pattern for me. This was your shoulder one here, ahead, shoulder two, within that, first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, and the fifth leg is already playing out because we are now, or we touched that weekly IC candle. So this institutional candle got tapped between all the blue candles. You have one red candle, which is working like a magnet. The price came back to the downside to complete that bullish M within an inverse head and shoulders. And we can go to the weekly minus 27. You can also see the impulse is starting to kick in. So now we are at this weekly highs, which can become also a false break potentially, but I don't expect that this will happen. Maybe if we tap here the daily pattern in a pattern and it closes like this, then we can go back to the downside, of course. So for that long, we have our candle close with us. This candle close is really bullish closing. So for me, that's 104. And then the fib from this low till this high is working for you as I drew it from the low here till the high. We tapped the 61.80 nicely. And then the trend is against you still because this is still your bearish W. You made just a first time break of this highs here. This can just become a false break of this high wick. So we will see what will happen there. And then the supply and demand on this selling zone can be triggered to go back to the downside. Okay, so the first trade I'm now looking at is EURGBP. On the daily, what can I see on the daily? We have potential pattern within a pattern. For me, I see this as a small pattern. So we have here, or we had here an impulse. I can see this as your whole correction. Then after tapping here, some liquidity zone, we had here again an impulse, correction, impulse, potential correction. And you can see this is your clear shoulder one then, head, potential shoulder two, first leg, second leg, third leg, potential fourth leg coming back. So a bullish M within an inverse head and shoulders, which is a pattern within a pattern, and it increases our chances to go to the upside. And you can see nice liquidity was taken from here, the zone upside, again, upside, upside again. Here also some new liquidity went a little bit back up, then to the downside, some resistance weak in the head here, some small resistance weak here, which is nice for the supply and demand zone, and here acting all the way as support. So, and then that impulse, which is now potentially giving us that correction on the 4 hours. So this is really nice to see. So if I go to the weekly, On the weekly, we can see we made a false break of these weekly lows, which were acting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. It was holding, and then we made an impulse, not a clear break. It is not a confirmed break of this weekly low, but just a false break. And we went back up, and we can make a potential weekly shoulder one here, head, shoulder two, which is nice, aligning with the daily pattern within a pattern. And if I look further at this zone, you can see a lot of buyers are sitting here, support, 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 nice liquidity sitting here acting as resistance, support. If I look further back, this is also clear resistance zone as you drew it further like this. So it's a clear zone here also as support. So for me, this is a nice liquidity zone, weekly supply and demand zone that can push the price back to the upside. So the daily was clear for me. We want to receive a pullback to this daily zone. We can just set our limit. If we come back correctively, it's not necessarily a thing we must see, but it's a nice thing if it comes more corrective like this to see push, shoulder one, head, then that bearish W. We can make here a pattern in a pattern, and then it can play out like this to that zone. You can see also it did it also here. Correction. We had here also some corrections. So that's the thing which is nice to see. So then the last pair I'm looking at GBPCAD. On a daily chart, I'm looking for a pullback trade, a first time break trade. And why is that? We were making here a low, a high, a low, a higher high, and we made a first time break of this previous higher low wick. So this is your leg to the downside. We made here that break, and we expect a pullback after that. So the trend or the market doesn't like to change from trend that easily. It's really difficult to change from trend. For me, this is an indicational bearish trend for me because it just made the first time break. So we can have that pull back to this daily previous structure where we have clear resistance, support, support, potential resistance, and we can go further also back for playing out this shoulder one here, head, potential shoulder two, within that a bearish W, so a pattern within a pattern. So this is a trade that we can trade to for that long till this previous structure here or this daily shoulder one here, potential shoulder two. So yeah, what is also nice thing to see is we are now tapping here a buying zone and a weekly supply and demand zone with a nice ascending trend line from this weekly bullish M here, nicely aligning. First touch, second touch, third touch, we go to the upside with a daily bullish candle close. And the nice thing is we made a new action here from this daily low wick here, and we are closing above also this daily previous structure from that point. So this is really nice. It can act like support. So really nice to see. Then on the weekly, what can we see on the weekly? For me, we have a 3 out of 4. The trend for me is still bullish because you can see this as your low, high, low, high. We had here a bullish M, and we made here a first time break of this previous higher low. And this is just a first time break, so an indicational bearish sign. And then after that, for me, this trend is still bullish. We made impulse, correction, impulse, small IC, correction, impulse, correction. Then again after that, impulse, correction, impulse, correction. So the momentum is with us, the trend is for us. Only here that candle close is against us here, and the fib from this low till this high, working for you, aligning with that ascending trend line and that weekly supply and demand zone where I put it this line on this IC here, which can act as support, which we did here already. And we can see we have also some sellers here, seller support when we are above it. Here, some sellers again, some support wicks. So, and now we have a support week here. So for me, the power is sitting here on this line where the liquidity is at. So we have a 3 out of 4 to trade this for the long on a daily and on a 4 hour. What I want to see is if I go to the 4 hour, I want to see a break of structure. So if I put my horizontal line here on this previous lower high here, just taking my black line, you can see the candle, the last candle will not close above this zone. I want to see a next candle closing above it. Then we have a first break of structure. So a break of structure of this previous lower high. And then we can trade at shoulder one, head, shoulder two, when we have inverse and shoulders with break of structure. We can put our stop loss below this previous or below the shoulder one, and we add like we would say 15 pips. That would be around 125 286 286 like this 286 28 pips 0.6, and then we have a nice risk reward till this previous structure where we can take almost fully partials out, because normally I take 2.5% out, so a little bit before. But you can also took here some partials at this previous structure and then take the fully partials out at this shoulder one, where we can have a pattern within a pattern, and then you can hedge this trade potentially to the downside again. So this is my SMB for upcoming week. I hope you liked it and see you next week. Bye.